And now, CCW News presents Holy Crap! This is actually happening! Even more Democratic than before edition, September 3rd, 2023. I'm Chuck U. Farley. The big news this week is Trump has actually not been indicted for a full 7 days, at least not that has been reported on yet. The D.C. judge presiding over the election interference trial has set the date for March 4th of next year, literally the day before Super Tuesday, because that's not election interference or anything. Meanwhile, several DNC leaders are lobbying states to remove Trump's name from the ballot, assuming he does not get Arkansited before the election. In other words, Democrats have turned to fascism in order to preserve our democracy. In other fascist news, former White House chief medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci admitted that no studies proved any benefits from masking during his pet pandemic, but he wants us to go back to wearing them anyway. The science has spoken, even though he's not backed up by any real science. As the WGA strike continues into its 5th month, the top 5 late-night hosts, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, and John Oliver, partnered up for a podcast they dubbed Strike Force 5 in an effort to raise funds to help their suspended staffers out. Between technical glitches, swearing into the camera, and unfunny double Jimmy jokes, the result was so disastrous that the first show actually raised more money from their staffers willing to pay them to stay off the air. Political handlers continue abusing elders and the mentally challenged, or both in the case of Mitch McConnell, who had yet another blue screen of death moment in front of cameras. Between him, cackling Kamala, and the lawless offices of Feinstein and Fetterman, Washington, D.C. is now home to more certified intellectual disabilities than the Special Olympics. At least no one has to worry about the cabbage-in-chief getting too tired from doing his job as a meat puppet. Thus far, he has racked up 382 days of time off the job. Biden's strategic vacays may just be a way to help keep him out of the press, as most of them line up with his all-too-frequent failures. He was playing in Camp David while the Taliban took over Afghanistan and collected all the weapons he left behind. Both he and the Dow took a tumble on the same day. Lucky for Biden, he was on his bicycle, so he didn't have to contend with the highest gas prices to date. He had his feet up at home when Putin invaded Ukraine, and again when the Chinese spy balloon had its way with the entire continent and the residents of East Palestine were gassed out of their homes. Recently, he literally had to take a day off from his month off to go insult Maui after the tragic fires. It turns out that, at 40%, his percentage of vacation days in office has already exceeded his approval ratings. For CCW News, this has been Holy Crap! This is actually happening! I'm Chuck U. Farley. Good night, and may God help us.